Welcome to the lesson, How do Scientists Investigate Questions? We're going to learn the steps scientists follow to develop questions and then try to answer them. The vocabulary words for this lesson are experiment, infer, investigation, predict, variable, hypothesis, observe. Click each word to find out more about it. Solving complex problems is never easy. Did you know that it took the Wright brothers 10 tries before their airplane would fly? Do you like playing outside, looking around, and noticing what is around you? Do you ever have questions about what you see? So do scientists. They try to answer their questions by noticing things too. Scientists may try to find answers alone or in teams. They may just look around them to find an answer, but sometimes they will need to do an investigation. You may think of an investigation as a search for clues to a crime. But in science, an investigation is a planned way of finding answers to questions. In an investigation, scientists go through steps to get answers to their questions. Click the first picture on the right to learn more. This boy and a friend are looking very closely at a spider web. They may be noticing its color, shape, and size. Using your senses to notice details is called observing. Observations lead to questions. The friend also sees that an insect is stuck to the spider web. She decides that the question she is going to try to solve is why insects get stuck in spider webs. Asking a question is the first step in an investigation. With further observation, the girl wonders if the spider web is sticky. Although she can't observe that directly, she infers from what she does see that stickiness is an important factor. When you infer, you offer an explanation for what you observe. She then takes her thoughts and observations to other friends. They think of an idea they can test. Here is their idea. Spider webs catch insects because the webs are sticky. This idea is called a hypothesis. They have done the second step in an investigation. Form a hypothesis. Scientists often make predictions about how they think their hypothesis will turn out. In this case, the prediction could be that the stickier the web, the more insects will get caught. Making a prediction and planning an experiment are the third step. An experiment is a test done to gather information. Doing the experiment is the fourth step. To test the hypothesis, the team observes more and does the experiment they planned. Through these investigations, they will discover if their hypothesis is correct or not. Either way, it is okay. If the hypothesis was correct, they have an answer to their question. If not, they can develop a new hypothesis. Drawing conclusions from the result is the final step. Scientists don't always use all of these steps in an investigation, and they may do them in a different order. Sometimes the answer to one question may lead to another question, such as, why don't spiders get stuck to their webs? You don't always have to do an investigation when you want to answer a question. Sometimes you can just observe and explore. Click the picture to learn more. Giraffes feed mostly on acacia trees. They have long, sharp thorns. Why don't giraffes hurt their tongues while they eat? Let's see if we can answer this question by observing. Watch the giraffe while he eats. Although it may be hard to tell, his tongue is long and tough enough to protect it from the sharp thorns. So, can you answer your question by observing the giraffe eating? Sometimes observation is all it takes to answer a question. Look at this photo. Can you think of a question you could ask about what you see? How could you answer your question? Suppose you have a question that has many possible answers. For example, how long does it take to make toast? How do scientists go about tackling a problem like this one? Click the picture of bread to get started. In order to help answer this question, scientists would do an experiment. First, they consider the conditions that are in place while making toast. These are the amount of time the bread is in the toaster, the heat of the toaster, the type of bread, and the thickness of the bread. These are conditions called variables. Be careful to change only one variable at a time. Keep all the other variables the same. Otherwise, you won't know which conditions affected the results. It is important to always control variables during an experiment. Scientists try to test one variable at a time. So in our example, let's keep the heat setting, the type of bread, and the thickness of the bread the same. Because the variable we're testing is time, it might be better to focus on set times. Set the timer for 20 seconds, 40 seconds, and 60 seconds. See how your toast comes out after each trial. Then you'll be able to answer the question of how long it takes to make toast for the type of bread you used. Scientists often want to study objects or materials that are difficult to see directly. They may be very small, very big, or very far away. That's when scientists develop a model, or something that looks like what they want to study, to use during investigations. Models are not exactly like the real thing. Click the top picture to learn more. Models may be bigger, smaller, or slightly different than the real thing. Models have their limits. For example, this model of the brain only shows the parts of the brain, not how they work. Some models are drawings. This model shows the parts of a plant. Some models can be made on a computer. These are called computer models. Scientists can use this model to study airplanes. This tank is a different kind of model. It shows how waves move along the water. It's an explanation based on observations that can be tested. Click the best answer. You got it. A hypothesis is different from a prediction. A prediction is what the scientist thinks will happen. A hypothesis is based on observations and inferences. Can you match the model with the real thing it represents? Drag the items to the correct locations. Great job! Remember, models have limits. They don't show everything about the real things, and can't do everything the real thing does. You've learned a lot about how scientists answer their questions and make new discoveries. Let's take a quick look at the main points you covered. Scientists may follow certain steps to answer questions, or they may just observe. When scientists make observations, these observations help them make hypotheses. Experiments are one way to investigate a problem. It is important to always control the variables in an experiment. Scientists try to test one variable at a time. Models are useful, but sometimes they have their limits. For example, models show only part of what objects look like and can do. Now that you've finished this lesson, if you wish, you can go back and review any part of the lesson again.